Hi students, welcome back to Trio Student Support Services. Let's start our video with the unit Graphs and Applications of Linear Equations. Today we are going to cover two small concepts which are plotting ordered pairs and finding the coordinates. So before we start our concept plotting ordered pairs, let's learn a little bit about the graphs and the planes. So basically on a number line, each point is a graph of a number. But on a plane, each point is a graph of a number pair. So to form the plane, we use two perpendicular number lines to be precise, which are called axes. So these are the two perpendicular number lines, x-axis and the y-axis. So these 2 points meet at a place called origin. The two perpendicular lines meet at a point called the origin. So the two axes we have, which is the first one is x-axis, which is called the first axis is x-axis. It's also called the horizontal axis. And the second axis we have is the y-axis, which is the vertical axis. So these two axes meet at a point called origin. Okay, so and we have 4 quadrants in the graph. So a graph is formed with the two perpendicular lines, and also we have 4 quadrants in that: quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So we have positive x-axis, positive y-axis, negative x-axis, and negative y-axis. Positive, positive, negative x-axis, and negative y-axis. So this all forms 4 quadrant: 1, 2, 3, and 4. Quadrant 1 have positive x-axis and positive y-axis. Quadrant 2 has negative x-axis and positive y-axis. Quadrant 3 have negative x-axis and negative y-axis. Quadrant 4 have positive x-axis and a negative y-axis. So this is the basic concept of a graph. Let's begin with our first concept, plotting ordered pairs. So we are going to plot the ordered pairs here. There are quadrants already given, so we are going to plot it. So in an ordered pair, we have, for the first one, let's take an example of the first. We have 5, 3. So the first axis is the x-axis, which is the horizontal axis. So its x-axis is the number 5, and the y-axis is the number 3. So on the y-axis we have number 3 here. Let's mark it up here. So this is the point we have. It's in the quadrant 1. Let's see in the quadrant 2. We have the positive, so we have x and y. So we have x-axis, which is it's a negative x-axis. So we have -3 on the x-axis and 2 on the y-axis. And in the quadrant 3, we have -2, okay, x-axis and the y-axis. These are going to be -x and a -y. Okay, so on the x-axis we have -2, negative x-axis, and on the y, negative y-axis we have -4. Hence it's -2, -4. In the quadrant 4 we have the 4, -3. The 4 is gonna be the x and 3 gonna be y, which is -y. X-axis on 4 on the x-axis and -3 on the y-axis. So let's say this is a point A, let's say this is a point B, let's say this is point C, and let's point D. So these are the points, and the numbers are called the coordinates, x and y coordinates. So this is how we plot the points on a graph. So plotting order pairs. Hope you guys are clear. Let's move to the second concept. Okay, so in the previous slide, we learned about we saw about the plotting the points. So in this, finding the coordinates. So we already have the points plotted here, and we need to find the coordinates for these points. So as we learned already, so the first axis is the x-axis, and the is the y-axis, which are also called x-axis is the horizontal axis, and the vertical axis is, sorry, second axis, y-axis is called the vertical axis. So in the, let's start with the quadrant 1. In the quadrant 1, we have point A slotted. So let's find the coordinates for that. So the first axis would be the x-axis. So the first coordinate would be 5, and the second axis is the y-axis. So the point on y-axis is 6. So the second coordinate for this point is 6. Let's do for the quadrant 2, we have a point B plotted already. So the first axis, which is x-axis, that would be the -5, and the y-axis also +5 it is. And for the point C, we have x-axis is -2 and the y-axis 3. So for the point D, which is in the quadrant 3, we have x-axis as -2 and the y also -2. Okay, and similarly for E in the quadrant 4, for E and F, we have for E x-axis 0.3 and the y-axis is -4. And for F, the x-axis is gonna be 2 and the y would be -6. So this is how we find the coordinates with the points given on the graph. Moving to the next slide. So in this slide, let's work on the two questions on the topics we have seen before. So first one is to plot the points on the grid. We have been given few points and we are supposed to point it on the grid. And the second one is to identify the points on the grid. There are a few points and we are supposed to mark the coordinates for that. Let's work on one example for each question. For example, let's do 2, 6. So 2, 6. So 2 is on x-axis and 6 is on y-axis. So let's do 2 on x-axis and 6 on y-axis. So it will be 2 on x-axis and 6 on the y-axis. So here is the point. It is 2, 6. So this is how you mark rest all the points. And the second question is we already have the points. So let's mark the coordinates. Let's do for point A we have here, which is in the quadrant 3. So we first go for the x and then y-axis. So in the x-axis we have -5, which is a negative x-axis. And in the y-axis we have -3, -3. So this is the point for A. So A is -5, -3. So this is the coordinates for the point A. So similarly, you work on the rest, all the point B, C, D, and okay. So I hope you guys are clear about the plotting the points and the pointing the coordinates. And for any further questions and comments, please feel free to contact us, Trio Student Support Services. You can email us at trio@stcloudstate.edu, or you can directly walk into the Centennial Hall 366, St. Cloud State University. Thank you. Have a good day.